Talk to us today, man. Who you talking about?
Yeah, of course, we all know Derrick Harmon. We should be very familiar with this guy. This is somebody that Stick liked a lot, so I decided to do a profile on him because we do know that we need interior defensive line help. And when you look at this guy's tape, I mean, I don't know what the hell Michigan State was doing, JB. I really don't know. They missed out on
They fumbled the bag on
this.
They
missed out on a gem here, but of course,
for what, 3 years?
Yeah. So of course, I want to go through, just the background story first, because I feel like culture-wise, he is a perfect fit for this Lions locker room. We all know Loyola High School. He's a local kid. Went to MSU for, I believe, 3 years before he transferred over to Oregon, and just had an amazing last season there with Oregon, and a feel-good story. We love Hutch because of not only was he a hometown guy, but because of the story. And with this guy, Derrick Harmon, his mother was going through or is still battling cancer. Real tough battle with that. He took a lot of his NIL money to help her out with that. I believe he bought her a home and things of that nature. So you love the story on this kid. Like I said, he's a local guy, probably been a Lions fan his whole life, so he understands what it means to be a part of Detroit and be a part of that Lions culture, man. So I would love to get a guy like this in this locker room.
Man, you know what his listed weight is on the profile?
310.
313 now.
313?
313.
Hey,
talking about Detroit through and through.
Hey, for real. I had him listed as 310 on here, and my apologies, I did not get a chance to get any combine information on this one. But when you see this guy's,
they wanted to update that mug. I was like, that's ironic.
When you see this guy's tape, it just pops off the screen. I got a lot of pros and cons on him. I think the pros do outweigh the cons. But before I get into that, like you said, 6'5", 313 now. Very unique build for a defensive tackle, and he's somebody that's got some wheels. Like, don't let the size fool you. He got some pickup. He can close out pretty well in terms of tracking running backs and mobile quarterbacks, dare I say. He's somebody that you don't really worry. He's versatile, and that's something that the Lions pride themselves on getting. They love versatile players. He's somebody that is not only dominant in the run game, but his pass rushing upside, I believe, could go to the next level. But just a few stats going from 2022: 30 total tackles, 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, and 1 pass defended. Pay attention to those passes defended now. 2023, 40 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 4 TFLs, and 1 pass defended. Those both years at Michigan State. Yeah. When he got to Oregon, that's when the explosion happened. 45 total tackles, 5 sacks, 11 TFLs, and 4 passes defended with 2 forced fumbles.
Boy put on when he went out west.
Yeah, man.
That's why we're trying to get to Vegas.
I don't know whether it was just the system with Dan Lanning and everything they had going on over there, but he absolutely jumped off the page. And then when you add 55 QB pressures and 43 QB hurries to that.
Well, wait. So he's getting after the QB and he's also defending passes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
trust me.
We gonna break it down some more, but like I said, 55 QB pressures and 43 QB hurries to that stat line. That's pretty mean in terms of a pass rush.
Sometimes players, they just have to mature. It's like they have the right stuff underneath the hood, but sometimes you got to have that right mechanic that can help them. And sometimes it's just them. Getting to that certain age, getting away from home and stepping into that responsibility. That's been great for a lot of players, young players trying to step to that next level. And I do think that he's one of those guys that has.
Yeah, I think he can come in day one and hit the ground running, especially when you look at a Casey Rogers and you look at Kelvin Shepherd, some of the things they may want to employ on this defensive line. I think he can come in day one and easily spot start for an Aleem McNeil. And they have similar prototypes. I wouldn't exactly call them the same type of player, but he's coming in with a pass rushing ability that's, kind of already really good. As Aleem, he kind of had to develop that over his time as a Lion. But real quick, I'm gonna just go over the pros and cons. One of my pros here is he can be an anchor on the defensive line, and by anchor I mean he can cover and close gaps and command double teams. And we see that a lot with DJ Reader in terms of the run game, being able to command double teams. He steps into that gap, can stop the run instantly. But his tracking ability in terms of tracking running backs, getting getting lost in the shuffle is really good as well. He has a really fast first step that I think catches people by surprise because of his size. And he has, like I said, great agility for just how big he is. So that's something that you like about him. Helps him win at the point of attack against most guards and collapses pockets from the inside on passing downs. So if you can generate that pressure from the middle, we all know how detrimental that is to any quarterback, not just a Jared Goff, but even in terms of a mobile quarterback. If you can get to him through the middle first and your ends are coming around, that kind of limits what they're able to do in terms of creating plays outside the pocket.
I like that. It just continued to be, and this is what I like the theme out of both of you all's players, and maybe he's one that's shown it even a little bit better, is their ability to collapse the pocket when you're talking about mobile quarterbacks out there. If these guys are helping the Lions be able to neutralize that much better and be able to spring players like whether it's a Darius on the edge or whether it's Aiden Hutchinson on the edge, along with being like a wrecking ball in the middle of that line, hey, that's what you need on this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a few more. Also helps him beat certain protections and zone running schemes. He seems to be really good at diagnosing zone running schemes. He has no problem dealing with like pulling guards and things of that nature. So that's something that you like to see out of a young tackle coming into the league. And he moves pretty well laterally. He knows how to disengage fast. I think that's another key quality that you need in a young player, somebody that's not only going to engage, but knows when to disengage and kind of
on the run.
Exactly, and be able to shift to the next part of the play. Closeout speed in the backfield is underrated, and you'll see that in some of the tape that I provided. Just him against who I feel is a couple mobile quarterbacks. It's actually pretty impressive, man. He has elite strength too. He's probably one of the strongest defensive tackles in this class, and he can beat you with an outright bull rush. And I know that's something that you're a big fan of, the bull rush. I would like to see him maybe not rely on it as much at the next level. He can use his hands, and that is one of my cons as I step over into the cons. But first, he has to stop relying on arm tackles. That was a big problem for him. And listen, he had a missed tackle.
Running backs in the north.
Yeah, no, for real. So these are the things that you kind of have to, develop in terms of what he can provide. He has to stop relying on the arm tackles. He had a 19% missed tackle rate in his college career. So that's something that you have to pay attention to. Even in his last season, he had 12 missed tackles. So he has to clean that up. Like I said, he tends to rely on his elite strength a little bit too much. At the NFL level, you're going against craftier guys. You're going to have to find ways to beat some of these tackles and some of these guards with your hands. And it's not to say he can't use his hands, but you would like to see him develop that a little bit more.
Some more technique. And
exactly.
That's where when you guys are talking about Casey Rogers being here, we know the prowess that Calvin Shepard has. This is what was cool about the Spagnuolo comments about Calvin Shepard, is that he said he knew everybody's position. It wasn't just from the perspective of a linebacker, but he was a leader in that locker room, effectively leading in trying to help all of the, from a defensive standpoint, get better defensive line, secondary, and linebackers. And that's where I am hopeful for a guy who he went to Oregon. We saw him take a step in production, step in technique a little bit, and be put in a better position to succeed. I do believe that the Lions have that ecosystem here in that atmosphere within the organization to help these types of young players.
No, absolutely they do. And you're not going to put a lot on him too early. But he is somebody that I think could possibly be a starter for you in the future. And just last two cons that I had on him, he has to work on not losing contain. That is something that he struggled with a little bit. And like you said, at the next level, you're going against some of these savvier quarterbacks in terms of making plays out of the pocket. So while his closeout speed is good, you don't want him to miss that tackle at the point of attack. So he has to get better with that. And motor,
I've seen that too much, Derek Barnes.
Yeah. And his motor can run cold, and causing him to get stood up in terms of pass rushing. And I don't mean motor running cold from a standpoint of always not trying out there. It's just sometimes when he gets fatigued, he tends to stand up a little too tall, and you don't want to do that at the NFL level because they'll jam you up and you won't go anywhere. But Chase, you can go ahead and roll that tape for me, please. I have some examples examples of his play. His pro comparison was Daquan Jones, so keep that in mind. But you see him circled right there in the middle, and just look how good he is in the pass rush, man. I'm telling you, if he can develop some hand moves, and he does have like a heavy cross chop that he tends to use, but I would like to get him a little more versatile in terms of, you know, what he can use when he's trying to shed off blocks. But you see it right there, man. And this is one where he got a strip as well, so he came up with the football right here.
Really he had the ball.
Yeah, on Quinshon Judkins, man. So no, this is what you want to see. And here, do you see him circle right there in the middle? I believe this is going against Penn State, but I could be wrong. But oh, look at that tackle right there. Look at that closeout speed. Well. Yeah, man. It is, and you see how fast he got to him. This is a guy that can get out and run. He took a little long holding the ball. Here's a play against Michigan right here. Look how quickly he gets in the backfield on Donovan Edwards. That is nasty right there. That is nasty. And I know he was relatively unblocked, but if you want to, you know, try and if you want to chip this guy, it's going to be a mistake, man. As you see him here, oh my God, look how he blows up that play.
He's able to get out of engagement. Dog,
yeah, bro, and combine that with the strength, bro. It's absolutely amazing. Here he is, circled at the bottom of your screen right here, and they're playing him on the other side of the field. Look how he diagnoses this, and this is an option play.
Got that IQ.
Yeah, this is an option, like a jet sweep type of play, but he diagnosed it very, very quickly. That's what you want to see, you know, in a young player. Ooh. There, he disrupts a pass. I'm saying his pass rushing ability is something that you want to see out of a young interior pass rusher, because that's normally something that you have to develop at the next level. He's already got that
finesse on that one, though.
Yeah, man. Here's another play right here. Sorry, this highlight tape is a little long, but it's a lot of good plays in here. And just like I said, he's versatile. He can play in the run. He can definitely play in the pass. He needs a little bit of development, but we have the right kind of culture here to where he'll step in and he'll make an impact, I believe, in his rookie season.
I get these are highlights. We're not going to play the low lights, so it's all going to look good.
Yeah.
But seeing what he does good is what should excite everybody, especially if you know that our guys here have what you need.
Yeah, this was an example of a pass he defensed. He kind of tipped this ball, if you can see. Look at that, man. But he's somebody that, you know, when he's beating on a play, he gets his hands up, and that's why he has so many passes defensed. That is also something that you normally get out of veteran players, but he's doing that already at, you know, a rookie level. That's something that you want to see. He has the wherewithal to be able to put his hands up when he can't get home, and that's something that you want to see.
We talk about it in basketball as well with the defense. Do they have that instinct in the paint?
Here's another one right here.
Has instinct.
Yeah, that's another one against Aiden Childs, man, where he kind of blocked the pass. But that's Derrick Harmon, man, hometown kid, great story. I feel like he would be a great fit for this Lions defensive line, and just you know, overall thoughts.
Well, I'm telling you, what just jumps out is the IQ, you know, because there are people who can have all the skills and all the tools, and if they don't have the IQ or even know where to be, it can affect things for them. But this is a guy who you see him diagnosing those plays. You see him diagnosing like the fake handoffs and all that stuff within the RPOs, and for him to be able to kind of key in, you see him go through all of the different progressions, and then right after the quarterback or right after the runner, that to me is what jumps off, because when you have that IQ, then you see all of his speed being used to make the right play. Now you're seeing all of his force and his physicality being used to make the right play, rather than like overrunning, which we've been accustomed to over the last, maybe, well, not last season as much, but before. We saw that for the first couple years of the Dan Campbell era.
He cleaned up them arm tackles. I'm telling y'all got a guy that can hit the ground day one. But Flannel, you liked him. You said,
oh yeah.
What do you take away from this?
I take away that he is as explosive as they come, kind of in the same way that Darius Alexander is. Just I always remember I remember that Donovan Edwards tackle for loss like it was yesterday, because of course I do. Just even though, yeah, it's not like he was keyed in on to block him, but he got there just was
very
on
quickly.
Donovan Edwards before he could even look up for a 6-yard loss, and you saw him in the pass rush. I like the fact that he gets his hands up as well, because those can turn into picks. Those can kill drives, especially if you do it on like a 3rd or a 4th down. And the thing that I have to ask you, KG, is if Derrick Harmon falls to 28 and Brad Holmes picks him, is that an A+ draft pick?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know right now they do have people a little bit higher above him, but he is somebody that is projected to be late 1st round or definitely early 2nd. Like if he's around in the 2nd round, he's one of the first 2 or 3 players off the board if you're a smart NFL franchise.
He's one of those guys, then what you're telling me is there might be some guys you're saying are above him because of maybe their polish.
Yeah.
But all the foundation here, it's like if you believe in your development, isn't he a guy that you say, like you say in that first round, you could take that?
No,
chance?
absolutely. The question comes, he did all this in his last season with Oregon. So there might be questions as to, is this a flash in the pan? Is this somebody that, once he gets to the NFL level, these guys can out-technique him? Those are some of the questions that, NFL GMs and talent evaluators have to take into consideration, because we did only really see this kind of production for 1 year. Maybe it was because of the scheme. Is it just because of the scheme? Is it just because of a different situation that he was in on a better team? We don't know.
That's the thing, man. True. Like, you got to take into account. In 2022, it was Mel Tucker. In 2023, it was Mel Tucker before the incident. Then it was Harlan Barnett, who is not a head coach in any way, shape, or form. You bring him to Oregon, you give him Dan Lanning, you give him his staff. Obviously, you're going to thrive, because with all due respect, JB, especially in the last few years, Michigan State is a crappy program that was in a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
And Derrick Harmon was a part of that.
It
and
was a crappy program.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Objectively, just like Michigan basketball was last year. And you saw it with Derrick Harmon, and you also saw it with Simeon Barrow. Once they go other places, they just look a lot better. And I think that Oregon Derrick Harmon is closer to the player that he's going to be in the NFL than the Michigan State Derrick Harmon, who was good, by the way, just didn't have a lot around him.
Yeah, and JB, I do want to get your thoughts since you're the state guy in the room, but even as a rotational guy at MSU, he did make some plays. I just don't know whether, Mel Tucker just didn't have the belief in him or whatever the case may be, but he goes to Oregon, he explodes like that, and he is looking at maybe being a first-round pick in this draft.
That's what I think it is right there. As you said as well, too, Koolaid, the maturity. Like you said, you go to somewhere else, you were nice, comfy, and cozy home here at MSU. But also, I think Mel Tucker kind of just messed that up completely. Didn't have a spot for him. Didn't have any faith in him at all. I'm sorry that you wasted a little bit of your collegiate career here at MSU, and you didn't really get the most out of it. But you popped up in Oregon, and that's an amazing spot, honestly, to get spotlighted and have a lot of talent and a lot of coaching staff help you out to get to where you need to be, especially if it is the NFL. He is going to have to step up his game a little bit more, just because you only got the 1 year big stats out of him at Oregon. So, as you said, KG, this might be a flash in the pan, but I don't think it is. I definitely think he has some raw talent that coaching staff just are waiting to tap into once he gets to the NFL.
I agree.
I'm looking across just the spectrum of Detroit sports, including our colleges. I'm so glad that local players can want to grew up here or who have some connection here can actually want to be here, and they're going to get taken care of. Because you're right, man. He had to put the apology out there like, my bad, bro.
Right, we wasted you.
But you look at them now, both Michigan and Michigan State basketball and football, they got some program builders there. And you look at the sports pro teams, you have local players saying, I want to be here.
Yeah, and best believe if you're the Lions, you are looking in your backyard. And there's a lot of great talent in your backyard, and this guy could be one of them, man. I think he comes in, he fits this culture absolutely perfectly.
Yep, and for the record, just checking up the PFF big board again, the only two defensive tackles who are rated higher than him are Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant.
There you go.
And then it goes Derrick Harmon, then it goes Darius Alexander. So my view on it is, and maybe I'm a little biased for my show, you can't go wrong with either one of the guys. Whether it's Darius Alexander, whether it's Derrick Harmon, bring both of them home. Toledo, Michigan State, they're as good as home, right?
Hey, y'all been getting me hype about these players, and I'm just sitting here like, but are they going to beat her at 28? But I know you guys have some more breakdowns, so I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait, man. But so far, I'm all on board with everybody that you guys have broken down, and I'm hoping that the Detroit Lions have an opportunity to grab either one of these players that you guys profiled today.
I think it's funny in a lot of our comments and some of our clips, I'm seeing a lot more Landon Jackson in there. Hey. So I'm just saying.
You're right, KG.
But I just see you said it. You think that he's playing himself out of the ability for the Detroit Lions to even have an opportunity to pick him.
Maybe. And this could be a guy too. He could go earlier than 28, but it's yet to be seen.
Combine, man.
Yeah. Combine changes a lot.
It does, and that's where at least I'm glad that we know the approach that Brad Holmes takes to this. He's put his strategy out there. Look, guys, we take a lot of what they do on film. It's just now you're seeing those diamond in the rough guys do it on film. And they're crushing at the combine with insane size. I don't understand now. When you look at these guys that are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 300 plus pounds.
That's
crazy. You see the speed that they have, like one little juke move in there in the backfield, getting your quarterback. Yeah, I want that on the Detroit Lions.
Absolutely.
Great job, Flannel Sam Reynolds. Let me be correct, man. Y'all
the
brought
government.
it professionally today. And I'm
Samuel.
putting yours out there.
Kenneth.
And Kenneth.
Yeah.
Man. No, y'all, great job. Like we said,
Appreciate
since
that.
you got here, we knew you were a ball knower. You've been holding down ball knower status for a while as well. Can't wait to the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to the next one. Great job, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to